this video we will be discussing basically about the network architecture of LTE. Now in our earlier videos we have already seen the benefits of LTE as compared to the 3G or the earlier generation of telecom. Now if we broadly look into the benefits of LTE, the first benefit is your high data rate as compared to the previous generation of 3G or 2G. LTE provides high data rates, reduced latency for user applications. It also provides the flexibility of radio frequency deployment, and also it has multiple input, multiple output, which is also called as MIMO technology. It offers TDD solution, which is termed as LTE TDD in addition to FTD, which is also termed as LTE FTD. Now what exactly is TDD or FTD? It is time duplex division and frequency division duplex and time division duplex. And also if you see from the latency perspective, as we had seen or as we have discussed in the earlier videos, it provides reduced latency for the user application, which enables the improved end user satisfaction with high throughput for the applications such as voice and video. Now whenever we talk about LTE, we talk about the speed, and with the speed what exactly we are getting the user experience. And with the user experience, how we will come to know that okay, the user experience is high or the user satisfaction is high as compared to the earlier generation of our 2G or 3G. It is because of the speed. So the speed increased, the demand of the users increased, which enabled to the creation of different applications to satisfy the user demand. That is one of the major important thing. Now if we see that how exactly the LTE architecture is. Now LTE architecture is mainly comprised of two parts. One is your evolved UTRAN, which is called as EUTRAN, and the other is your core network area, which is also called as EPC, that is nothing but your evolved packet core. So here in this diagram, if you see the high level overview of how exactly the network is, one component is your EUTRAN, which is called as Evolved Universal Terrestrial Radio Access Network, and the other is your core network, which is called as EPC, which is nothing but Evolved Packet Core, and EU, that is Evolved User Interface, is connected to these networks. Okay. Now if you see the further usability of or the importance of EUTRAN and core network. Now basically the packet switch, this is nothing but your packet switch, is comprised of your mainly two parts. One is your radio network and the other is your core network. And the evolved network, which is nothing but the LTE architecture, comprised of SAE architecture. SAE is not upgrading the 2G or 3G, but it is completely a new architecture that is being designed for 4G. Why? Because if you compare the earlier 2G or 3G, we have RAN, we have MSC, we have BTS, BSC, all those network elements are there. But in 4G, all those network elements are coupled into a simple network architecture. Why that is required? For the high mobility, the architecture is not comprising of complex design environment for different nodes. Why? Because when architecture becomes complex, what will happen? Whenever there is a transfer of the data from one node to the another node, then we see that there is some loss that is happening, and whatever the user experience is there, that will get downgraded. So as simple the architecture, the more will be your data speed, or the more will be the high throughput. That is how it will be. Okay. So that is about the high level of your EUTRAN or the core network. Now coming back to the actual LTE architecture. Now here we see that there are two different EUs, that is nothing but evolved user equipment Okay, they are connected to your eUtron network, and the other one is your EPC network. Now in eUtron network, what are the network elements that are integrated within? One is your intercell RRM, RB control, connection mobility control, radio admission control, eNode B configuration and provisioning, dynamic resource allocation. So these are the things. So eUtron basically takes care of resource allocation and eNode B configuration and provisioning along with the other network elements. Now eNode B is nothing but it's an evolved node. Okay, now dynamic resource allocation is what now whenever in order to have a load balancing of the what we can say, the load balancing of the users or the load balancing of the higher usage applications. So this eUtron will be able to segregate that, and it will be able to allocate the actual based on the actual usage. Okay, how the load balancing has to be happened, that will take care of it. That is nothing but your dynamic resource allocation. And here if you see, this black dotted line is nothing but your control plane, and these blue lines are nothing but your user plane. So here another concept comes is, one is your control plane, the other is your what we can say user plane. So what are these plane in detail we will see in our upcoming videos. For now, just remember that okay, these are your user plane and these are your user plane, and these black lines are nothing but your control plane. User plane, now in a high level, if you want to see, if you want to access any of the applications, so that is through the user plane we access. Now let's say you are logging into a particular application. Okay, so you access the application, you give the URL, you access the application. So backend, how the plane is, it is nothing but your user plane, and that user plane in control again in a signaling system with your control plane. So that is how it is. So here if you see the network element, whatever here I am highlighting, it is nothing but is your eNode B stuff. So the user planes, they are connected with your MME, and MME is again coordinating with HSS. Okay, and HSS is connecting with the charging principal element, that is nothing but your PRCF, and in turn this PRCF and PGW, PDN, this is nothing but a gateway, data gateway. PGW, we will see about this, and again SGW and PGW, they are interconnected with each other, and again eNode B is coordinating with your SGW. So here if you see that each and every network element is connected with each other, right? And whatever this S1C is there, this is the interface. This is a SS7 signaling interface, which says that S1C is nothing but S1 control plane, and likewise we have S6A user interface, we have S11 interface, we have S5 interface, S1U interface, and these are the things. And if you broadly see that our SGW, we can refer it as your SGSN. This you can refer as your GGSN. Here it is nothing but it's like MSC, but with more functions, that we will see that what are the functions of MME, and it is nothing but HSS. It is like your HLR. Okay, so that is how it is, and in turn they are again connected to your IP network, that is your IMS, which is mainly responsible for handling the voice calls, and again it is connected to a PDN gateway that for accessing the internet, and PDN gateway in turn is connected to different DNS servers. So whenever there is a query that happens from the user to access any of the application, the flows like this, and again it gets to your external internet gateway where the different DNS servers are connected, and the desired result is achieved. Okay, so from that perspective, if you see, now if you mainly come to the functions of MME, that what exactly the MME is there, what we can see is in MME, it is nothing but your mobile management entity. So the full form of your MME is your mobile management entity. So if we go in details about the functions of MME, then what we can see is mobile management entity, it has a signaling system and a security system. So signal system is nothing but it's NAS, what we term as non-access stratum. Okay, so that is one of the important thing, and it also performs tracking area list management. It has PDN gateway and SGW selection. So whenever a particular action is happening here, if you see that it is connected to your SGW and SGW is again connected to your PDN gateway. So it has the ability for PDN gateway and SGW selection. And also whenever a particular user or different user is coming into a particular location, so it also handles roaming and authentication management, and also it functions for EPS peer management and signaling for mobility management between 3GP and RANs. So if you broadly see, that is how the function is. So if here I have listed some of the functions which says that MME plays a very important role in LTE EPC architecture as it deals with EPC control plane, right? So it deals with your EPC control plane. Here if you see the black lines. Now with two different interfaces, S1 MME and S11 MME, it manages eNode B and SGW gateway. So here if you see S1 interface and S11 interface, it is managing is your SW and eNodes. MME manages the mobility sessions, roaming, paging. It is also responsible for charge of authentication of the users as well as the generation and allocation of temporary identities to UEs. Because normally if we see in the roaming scenario, the resource allocation is temporary. Now let's say the actual till that particular users the resource will be identified, and after that okay the temporary profiles of the users will be stored. Now MME also controls mobility between LTE, 2G, 3G and access networks. Now here, now it is not mandatory that okay if you are a 4G subscriber or LTE subscriber, then you should be able to access only your 4G network. No, wherever the area the 4G is not there, it also latches onto the respective area with respective network, whether it is your 2G or 3G. Also intra LTE handover with core network node relocation and S gateway SGW selection for UE for the initial attach. Again, if you see about HSS, so HSS is nothing but home station subsystem. It is like our HLR. So broadly, if you want to understand that what is HSS, so we can just simply try to correlate that HSS is nothing but is your home location registry as in your 2G or 3G network, right? So here, if you see what are the main functions, it mainly consists of the subscriber profile and authentication information, because whatever the provisioning that happens, the subscriber provisioning happens, that all entries goes into your HSS. It contains the subscriber information. It is one of the core network element in IMS network. The database stores the information about the subscriber, which helps in the authorization, details of devices, as well as the user location and service information. So that is why this is termed as one of the core or the heart of the telecom organization. Why? Because whatever the information that is pertaining to a user, that information is stored in this database. Now HSS allows CSPs to perform specialized functions such as barring of certain services and functionings, deactivation of your SIM card. Yeah. So here if you see that whenever if you want to bar some of the services, or if you want to allow only a specific services to a particular subscriber, then all those provisions are done in your HLR. That is nothing but your HSS. So that is one of the main important function of HSS. Now if you see S gateway, right? Now S gateway is what your serving gateway. Now we can refer, in order to understand or in order to see that what exactly it is, you can refer this as your SGSN. So mainly if you see the function or S gateway, what exactly do, it has a packet routing and forwarding. It also handles EUTRON idle mode and DL packet buffering. That is nothing but your download packet buffering. EUTRON inter 3GPP mobile anchoring. So it also functions as EUTRON and enabling the 3GPP mobile anchoring. Now uplink and download charging, uplink and downlink charging, if you see, then it is also handled in your per UE in SGW and PDN and QCA, quality of interface. Okay, that is how it is. So here I have listed some of them, the main functions. So he is mainly responsible for data and routing the data to the users with the required data packets, right? So that we can say that allocation of your data packets or allocation of your data. It is also responsible for handovers. Now let's say if a user is moving from one to one node B to the other node B, in order to provide the seamless connectivity to the user without having any breakdown, so it also handles your handovers. It controls the termination of the session for downlink data from idle set. Now let's say if any of the user is idle, then automatically LTE has a capability to cut over the session, which is called as termination of the session. It stores the information of UE context when paging happens, parameters of the IP bearer and routing information. It is also responsible for replicating user traffic for lawful interception. So this is one of the major important point what we need to remember, that it is also responsible for replicating user for lawful interception. Now coming back to your PDN, PDN is nothing but your PDN gateway, which is PGW. Mainly we refer as PDN in your earlier generations. So it is mainly responsible for connecting the UEs and the external network. Here in the diagram, if you see, it is connecting to your external network, right? So it mainly includes functions like enforcement of policies, charging support, packet screening, charging, okay, it is double here. So that are the main functions. So whenever a user is authenticated in this area, okay, and based on whatever the request he performs in EUE, then that request will be carried forward by PGW, that is nothing but your PDN gateway, to the external network internet provider, and that external networks are again connected to your different DNS servers, and you will be able to access the required information based on what you have seen. So if you see the network service evolution classification, CS is nothing but circuit switch, which is nothing but your 2G and 2.5G kind of network, wherein you were allowed in 2G only voice and SMS, and in 2.5G if you see very low data rate. It is like if you want to browse any of the application or if you want to download any of the photo, it would take hours together to download. So that low it was, right? Now when you come to your 3G, it contains your circuit switch as well as packet switch. So along with the data, it supports voice and SMS. So here, as compared to our CS 2G, in 3G here in this area, it has high data rate and as well as voice and SMS. Now here in 3G also it has enabled your video calling, okay. Now PS service is nothing but packet switch service, which is exclusively for your LTE, which handles voice, SMS and data with high throughput. Okay, so what are the main advantages of LTE as compared to your CS or GSM? Now LTE can latch on to this network or to this network wherever LTE is not present. So that is how we can see it. Okay, so these are the main important things what I thought that I'll be discussing with in this video. And if anyone has any of the question in understanding the overall architecture, please post your comments so that I can just elaborate and take it forward. Thank you very much for listening to the video.